So my name is Daniel Cleland, and I'm here to speak about ayahuasca integration. Before I get started, I just wanted to clarify that I'm not a self-proclaimed expert in ayahuasca. I don't have a PhD in ayahuasca. I'm not an anthropologist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a shaman or a healer. I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm really good at creating the space, a safe container for this type of work. I'm also really good at bridging cultures. I have a master's degree in intercultural communication, and spent a lot of time in the past decade traveling Central America, South America, working in tourism, leading groups of people around different countries in this territory, and I've forged some connections with the Shipibo traditions, the Shipibo indigenous communities in the Amazon, and so actually before this project that we're working on here in Costa Rica, I had built a ayahuasca retreat center in the middle of the Amazon, and we operated that for about 5 years. I just sold that this summer, and I'm now working on a new operation here in Costa Rica on the beach called Soltara Healing Centre. I've also published a book called Pulse of the Jungle, and produced 2 documentaries, Drinking the Jungle, which was released in 2014, as well as The Plant Teacher, which we're releasing this year. I've been working personally with ayahuasca since 2010. I've worked with 5 different traditions, so the Santo Daime in Brazil, the União do Vegetal in Brazil, the Shipibo tradition, which is really what I prefer, what I like to work with now, and the Chavin tradition, as well as some neo-shamanism in the United States. So I do have quite a bit of experience with ayahuasca. Might have done 100 ceremonies or something like that. And the people that I work with are experts. So we have a number of advisors working with us at Soltara who have PhDs in anthropology or psychology. And we have some therapists who are working with us as integration guides and preparation guides who have their PhDs. So I'm going to do my best today to communicate to you guys from my own personal experience, mixed with the high-level academic expertise that come from the people I work with. Okay. So, what is integration? One of our advisors, Dr. Sharon Rafferty, would say that integration is the process of combining multiple elements into a complete whole. Dr. Gabor Mate said in the documentary I'm about to release that the realizations people have during ceremony need to be made real. They have to be integrated and incorporated into real life, or else they just dissipate and disappear. Dan says integration is the perpetuation or the continuation of the desired effects of ayahuasca. So I want to start with a vision of an integrated society and then move into personal integration. So what does an integrated society look like? Well, it might look a lot like this, but an integrated society is one where psychedelic medicines are decriminalized and are available for psychotherapeutic maintenance, potentially prescribable by psychiatrists or by doctors or psychotherapists, and are more readily utilized by human society for cultural ceremonies, for spiritual practice, for healing, or for recreation. Quite frankly, there's nothing wrong with that. And what we're trying to do at Soltara is help nurture this process. Because ultimately we want to have a happier society, a healthier society, and a healthier planet. is the ultimate end goal, I think, for us, for me personally. So we need to work on individual integration, personal integration for individuals before we move into a fully integrated society. So first off, let's talk about the 3 types of effects of ayahuasca. The first type is the temporary type. This is the biochemical afterglow that people generally enjoy for days, weeks, sometimes months after the ceremony or group of ceremonies. So heightened levels of serotonin and changes in brainwave activity. So ayahuasca tends to reduce the noise in the areas of the brain that are responsible for depression, anxiety, social phobias, etc. So after a ceremony or a group of ceremonies, people can feel really good, just complete, whole, like everything's good in the world, and maybe don't need some of the crutches that we use in order to fill that void in regular life, which is why a lot of people actually go to ayahuasca. Then there are the more permanent effects of ayahuasca, such as changes in worldview, changes in perspective, beginning to liberate yourself from cultural conditioning or cultural programming, healing of traumas or PTSD or whatever other illness, physical cleansing. And then there are the type of effect that requires sustained effort and discipline to implement, such as a realization that you need to change careers, or a realization that you need to change lifestyles, or swap out some habits, or get out of a toxic relationship. These things, you can get these realizations in the ceremony, but they require you to work on implementing those in real life. Okay? So, while writing this speech, this is the first time I've ever done any public speaking, so I totally fish out of water here. Thank you. Much love. I wanted to give you guys some type of proprietary content or value to take away from this. So I created a system. The 6 pillars of integration. So if you guys are taking notes, you can write these down. Number 1, preparation. Number 2, set and setting. Number 3, aftercare. Number 4, mindfulness practice. Number 5, creative output of some kind. And number 6, community. In that order, I will go through and discuss. So, starting with preparation, you could say education. Really, preparation is about educating yourself about what to expect, educating yourself about what's going on biochemically with the medicines in your body, how long the effects are going to last, have some semblance of what you can anticipate from the effects. I know it's impossible to completely prepare for an ayahuasca experience because you don't know what it's like until you do. But getting as prepared as possible, researching the facility that you're going to be engaging the medicine at, or the people you're going to be doing the medicine with. They should be highly trained for many years, and ideally in the traditions where the medicine came from. You know, there's a concern right now with the traditions, the indigenous traditions, losing their voice in all of this as the medicine goes global. So educating yourself about the traditions, the different theologies. You don't necessarily need to subscribe to all the theologies, but to be aware of them is good, and you might resonate with one of the various theologies. Santo Daime has one, União do Vegetal has another, Shipibo have another, etc. So prepare yourself, educate yourself. Number 2, set and setting. Fortunately, there are many places, many great places in the world right now where you can go and have a very safe and very positive ayahuasca experience. It's very important to find a good place, specifically for ayahuasca. I mean, there's some parallels here with other types of psychedelics, but I'm speaking specifically with ayahuasca. You want to be in a safe container. You don't want to have to make any type of practical decisions while you're under the influence of ayahuasca. You want to minimize any type of duties or activity that you have to do aside from basically getting up to go to the washroom. And certainly do not put yourself at risk of exposure to any law enforcement entities or any type of legal risk or any type of risk whatsoever, physical risk, anything that can actually create trauma within that experience, because you're not going there to have a traumatic experience. You're going there to have a very safe, loving, and positive experience. So very important to find a proper set and setting. Number 3, aftercare. So there's 2 types of aftercare. There's personal aftercare, number 1. There's therapeutic aftercare, number 2. Personal aftercare is your decision to give yourself some breathing room after your ceremonies. So when you come out of your session, day 1, you're going to be tired. Rest. Drink lots of water. Eat clean food. Give yourself some time before you have to make those travel logistics happen. Now, when you return back to given circumstance, give yourself a week or 2 of treating your body really good. Just follow that program. Get lots of rest, drink lots of water, eat super clean, completely avoid alcohol or other toxic substances. The quickest way to kill that lovely afterglow is to go out and get fucked up on a bottle of Jack Daniels or cocaine or MDMA even, stuff that'll bring those serotonin levels down. Don't do that. Stay away from toxic people, hyper stressful situations. Don't overexert yourself too much. And then that will help to perpetuate that feeling of goodness and wholeness. And then in that space, when you're extending that feeling afterwards, that gives you the platform to start changing habits, and makes it easier for you to implement those things that require you to do some work in your life. So take care of yourself after the ceremony. Therapeutic aftercare. This is an emerging profession, and it's another thing that we are trying to nurture at Soltara, is the creation of psychedelic therapists. Now, Dr. Sharon, who I spoke with before coming here, advised me not to use that term because in most places around the world, the psychedelics are still criminalized, still illegal. So, you know, these are licensed therapists who have Western medical degrees, they're MDs or PsyDs, and they have experience, in-depth experience, also with psychedelics. So they're able to integrate psychedelics into their patients' therapeutic programs. And so one thing that we noticed when we were developing Soltara, learning from our own mistakes in Peru and learning from the mistakes of other retreat centers out there, is that a lot of the focus was on the experience, the actual time that people are spending at the retreat center, but really significantly lacking in aftercare and following up with people after, just kind of sending people on their way to go back into whatever circumstance they're falling into when they're changed, but the world is not changed. The world is exactly the same. So they have to wrestle with that. So we are including sessions with these therapists in our programs this time around. So a preparatory call and then 2 group calls after with the therapists, and then we're also bridging those making those connections between therapist and client. So we're making these people available for anyone who comes through Soltara to access and continue a relationship with. Now there are some legal issues with that as we're becoming more familiar with. It really is emergent. Like there's not a lot of, it's an area that's ripe for exploration and study, and we need a lot of research and data in this area. We need to practice this area, but there's really not a lot of knowledge in terms of the legality of things. We've done some preliminary research with lawyers who are insanely expensive, and basically discovered that in the United States, for example, there are concerns with therapists working across state borders or doing telemedicine, so to speak. So in order to overcome that, one idea we're tossing around is to develop a nationwide network, like in the United States. We're also working in other countries, Canada, Australia, etc. A nationwide network of therapists who are familiar with psychedelics in each state, so people can connect with the therapist in their own state to help guide them through that integrative process. If they have major changes that they need to make and they really want someone to help hold them accountable, to talk them through things, and to help make those realizations real. Okay, number 3? Number 4, mindfulness practice. So, as I mentioned earlier, ayahuasca changes brainwave activity, reduces noise in the, I think it's called the default network, that is responsible for, hyperactivity, thinking about the future, worrying about the future, or dwelling on the past, or being nervous in social scenarios, any type of depression or anxiety. So ayahuasca calms those areas down. So does meditation, and so do other mindfulness practices to an extent. So it's like I'm the worst personally at meditating. I've tried several times to meditate regularly, and it doesn't work for me. Probably some of you guys are similar. But what does work for me is like going out in nature and like running up a mountain or something, and just like getting my thoughts into my body rather than flying all over the map. So that's something I can do regularly, and that does help me. Spending time in nature, exercising. Yoga is a good mindfulness practice. I'm sure tons of you guys do yoga. So an ongoing mindfulness practice will help to perpetuate those feelings of wholeness and goodness, and they'll just make you want to take better care of yourself. So that will help to extend the ayahuasca feeling. Number 5, creativity, creative output, art, whatever you want to call it. We humans, we have a ton of energy, and unless that energy is properly channeled into some form of productive output, it can manifest into negative behaviors. Again, using my own personal example, if I don't have something that I can pour my creative energy into, I have a real tendency to like overindulge in alcohol or other intoxicants, or just too much energy. So a creative output is a way that you can help to replace some of the habits that you're trying to shed, from using ayahuasca as a tool to help you with that. By channeling that energy, it gives you a higher chance of success into something. It could be woodworking, it could be poetry, it could be painting, it could be drawing, making jewelry. I've seen all kinds of stuff, painting mandalas on stones, like whatever. My personal form of creativity is entrepreneurship. I like to get visions and then make things in real life. It's like a kind of painting on the canvas of life for me. So that can help. And number 6, last but not least, community. So in the same theme as having therapists to talk you through things, having a community of people who understand the experience you just went through, and who understand what it's like going back into a world that's exactly the same as it was when you left it, but you're completely different. Having people to talk to on the same terms, talking about, like, you know, what it's like to be eaten by a fucking purple anaconda, you know? Like, that's weird to your parents, right? But it might not be weird to people who have had a similar experience. So, you know, that's another thing that we thought was lacking with a lot of the other retreat centers. Now, in the last one I had in Peru, we had a little Facebook group that was actually really helpful for a lot of people. You know, people who had been through our place were able to talk to other people who had been through our place and share posts and news articles and talk about things and you know, lean on people for help or contribute to help other people and just be part of this active community. What we're doing now is really trying to create more of a global community that's accessible to everybody. It doesn't need to be someone who has come through our retreat center. We want to just facilitate the medium for people who have shared this wonderful medicine experience to come together from around the world and support each other and really help to create culture as a group and make positive changes in each other and not the world at large. So that's another pillar of integration that can help you be more successful in integrating the ayahuasca experience. So as we integrate ourselves, as we heal ourselves, that enables us to go on to heal our families. As we heal our families, that enables us to go on and heal our communities. And as we heal our communities, that enables us to go on and heal the global community. And if we are to heal the global community, maybe we can let nature heal herself. So, thank you for your attention. I appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the ceremony.